Hello folks, and today we're going to be talking about how do you find the missing terms in an arithmetic sequence. Now, previously we're used to seeing lists like this, and we might find the missing number by saying to ourselves, to go from -4 to -2, what do I have to add? Well, to go from -4 to -2, you have to add 2. And if we were to do that again, we would get a certain number, which would be 0. But to make sure I'm right, let's make sure that adding 2 again would give me the next number. 0 plus 2 is 2. So that definitely confirms to me that this is an arithmetic sequence, and the common difference is 2. Now, we have a different dilemma when they don't give us much information, other than saying that this sequence is arithmetic. So, here's how we're going to go about doing this. All right? So, first things first, I have to count how many spaces is it going to take. So 1, 2. All right. So now what I can do to find my common difference is I could subtract last minus the first. And then divide by the number of spaces, or skips, if you will. So I could do 22 minus 8. That gives me 14. Then it's 2 moves. It's 2 spaces. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. Now, that number is not the one that's going to go in the blank here. This number is actually the difference, the common difference. And because that's positive 7, that tells me I'm going to be adding. So 8 plus 5 is 15. 8 plus 7 is 15. And then I could double check that. Is 15 plus 7 22? Well, yes it is. So that means that the missing term is 15. And again, we got that by taking the last number minus the first number divided by the number of spaces, or the number of humps. So let's do one that's a little bit more complicated, shall we? And the only way I can really make this more complicated is by changing the quantity of missing spaces. So I start at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It takes me 5 spaces to get to the next known value. Okay, so subtract last minus the first. That's -15. And then divide by the number of skipped spaces. Divide by how many it's going to take for me to get to the next known value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So divided by 5. So that's -3. That means my common difference is -3. Okay, so I'm just going to start adding. 4 plus -3 is positive 1. 1 plus -3 is -2. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus negative 3 is negative 8. So there's 4 blanks, 1, 2, 3, 4. And to double check, negative 8 plus negative 3 is indeed negative 11. So I know I'm right. Now, don't let them confuse you by putting a blank at the end or multiple blanks. We still solve this the same way. We just pretend that the extra blanks aren't there to start with. So, last number minus the first. Negative 27 minus 13 is negative 40. We are skipping 1, 2, 3, 4. It takes 5 skips to get to a known value. So, negative 40 divided by 5 is negative 8. Okay, so let's start applying that. 13 plus negative 8, that is 5. 5 plus negative 8, that's negative 3. Negative 3 plus negative 8, that's negative 11. Negative 11 plus negative 8 is negative 19. Negative 19 plus negative 8 is negative 27, which we know. And since we got to our negative 27, we know we're right. So now we do it one more time. Negative 27 plus negative 8, that would be negative 35. Okay, so now I want to go to our packet and come to the page that says, what does it mean? A solidify understanding task. And they have something similar here for us. It starts at 5, it ends at 11. It takes 2 skips. Okay. So, 11 minus 5, that's 6. And then 2 skips. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So hopefully you're not finding this to be too bad. Okay, number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 skips. So last minus first, that's negative 28. Then divide by the number of skips, that's negative 7. So let's fill in the blanks now. 18 plus negative 7 is 11. 11 plus negative 7 is 4. 4 plus negative 7 is negative 3. And negative 3 plus negative 10 is, negative 3 plus negative 7 is negative 10. So that is a good way of doing it. So that's valid. Now, 13, a little bit lengthier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this one has 6 skips. It ends at negative 6, starts at 12. So, last minus the first, that's negative 18. Okay, and then divided by the number of skips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's negative 3. So let's apply it and hope we get down to negative 6 here. 12 plus negative 6 is 9. Plus negative 3 is 9. 9 plus negative 3 is 6. 6 plus negative 3 is 3. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. 0 plus negative 3 is negative 3. And negative 3 plus negative 3 is negative 6. So, that describes what we're doing here. Okay, so describe our method. Okay, last minus the first, okay, and then divide by the number of skips. And will it always work? Well, it's been working so far. So, let's see if there's another way we could write this, because this is not very mathy, if you will. There has to be another way for us to write this. So, if you notice, what we're doing is we're subtracting and then we're dividing. And you know what? Before, if we used to subtract and then divide all the time. Okay? Well, let's see if we can apply that here. Okay? I want to start with a number, okay, and find out what do I need to add to it to get to 11. Well, this is the common difference, and it's being applied twice. And we end at 11. So let's start my process. Let's take the last number minus the first number. So last number minus the first number. And we get 6. That's exactly what we got over here. And then if I divide both sides by 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that conveniently worked there. Let's see if it works somewhere else. Let's see if it works down here for number 2. Let's see if we get negative 7. So 18 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. The difference 4 times. See if it could equal negative 10. Well, subtract from both sides. We get 4d equals negative 28. And if we divide by 4 on both sides, we get d equals negative 7. We get the exact same thing. So this might just be another way to write this. We could write it as a two-step equation. So our starting number plus the number of skips times d, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is going to equal the last number, or the number that we want to get to. So if I subtract 12 from both sides, okay, I didn't leave myself much room here. That gives me 6d equals negative 18. Divide both sides by 6, and I get d equals negative 3, which is what I needed to add each time. So let's try the next page, and instead of doing last minus first, let's try and write it as an equation and see where we go. All right, so I'm going to start with 50 plus 1, 2, 3. And that's going to equal 86. Now, I don't expect you guys to be able to do this in your head, but if you can, that's great. Got to get the variable by itself, get d by itself, so minus 50 from both sides. I get 3d equals 36. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and I get D equals 12. So now just time to add. 50 plus 12, 62. 62 plus 12 is 74. 74 plus 12 is 86. So this isn't bad. If this makes sense to you, I would do this. It's going to help us out for tomorrow. In number 6, okay, first number plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, D equals 10. Okay, so subtract 40 from both sides. That gives us 5D equals negative 30. Divide both sides by 5. We get D equals negative 6. So, time to apply that common difference. 40 plus negative 6 is 34. 34 plus negative 6 is 28. 28 plus negative 6 is 22. 22 plus negative 6 is 16. 16 plus negative 6 is 10. So we are covered there. Now, one last question. Okay, this one starts at negative 23 and ends at positive 5, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the difference gets applied 7 times. All right, so now I'm going to add 23 to both sides. So that gives me 7D equals 5 plus 23, that's 28. And then I'm going to divide by 7. And I get D equals 4. So that's what I'm going to add by. Negative 23 plus 4, that's negative 19. Negative 19 plus 4 is negative 23. Negative 23 plus 4, whoops, I just made a silly mistake. Okay. It's positive 4, and a negative plus a positive, the number actually goes down. Negative 19 plus 4 is not negative 23, it's negative 15. Negative 15 plus 4 is negative 11. Negative 11 plus 4 is negative 7. Negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 4 is positive 1. And 1 plus 4 is 5. So using this technique, we could find out what the missing terms are in an arithmetic sequence just by using a two-step equation. Have a great day.